Hey there, it's Ben from Pattern Profits bringing you the weekend update and weekly watch list for the week of June 27th. We're first going to take a look at the IWO. Nice move last week. Came back above that 199.13 prior low, out of the pinch there. Anchored VWAP off of the swing high, swing low. Saw support there a couple days and then nice breakthrough there. Back above 1020 cloud as well. So acting well, a little bit ahead of the others, and most likely FFTY still has energy exposure, oil and gas names and that. So you got an inside day there, but you see this looks much different than what we were looking at IWO, and that energy component most likely playing a role. So a lot of work to do there in FFTY. PDP, not bad. This move back above 68.82 was that prior low. You're right into the 10 portion of 1020 cloud. You got anchored VWAP from off of that prior low just above, and then 73.30, the level above there. 20 portion of 1020 cloud also right there. So we'll see if we can get upside continuation there and start to try to fill in some of these gaps. Getting right into our watch list. Going to take a look at LNTH. He had multiple power earnings gaps back here, another one here. And at first glance, you look and kind of start to see left shoulder, head, maybe going to get a right shoulder here and then roll it. But what typically happens in this case is all eyes start to look for that. And then the market, if it can stay healthy, usually has other surprises for those leaning to that short side. And then especially when we look at the fundamentals behind this name, a lot of times it'll surprise in the opposite direction, even though that head and shoulders kind of can see that potentially shaping up. Power of 3 set up there with 10, 20, 50 cloud real close. Anchored VWAP off of the high, anchored VWAP off of that second power earnings gap just above. You also have the volume shelf right there as well. So again, looking for that to make the turn, come out of there and fool the majority, looking for a short opportunity. STZ, Constellation Brands, this one kind of had a little cup base and handle, but then it rolled back over. But now really starting to set up nicely, kind of a double bottom look to it, 247.57. That cheat pivot above. This has come a long way in a short period of time. Reclaim the anchor VWAP off of the high and off of the earnings gap. So wouldn't mind this kind of going sideways a few days and then pushing up and out, or setting up some type of flag inside day, some type of little coil consolidation here. Would be easier to manage risk than pushing up and through. At the same time, if the market stays hot, 247.57, the cheat pivot, like to see come through there on big volume. And in the same group, TAP had this kind of channel. Remember that channel we were looking at in Chef, CHEF worked out well. Similar situation here where you have this descending channel beneath a standard pivot, 57.45, the standard pivot. Zoom out, see it's part of a much larger cup with handle pattern. So just looking for that early entry opportunity out of the channel. And then the big area to watch, 57.45, that standard pivot above. Look for big volume coming through there. Group is hot. Group has moved up the ranks over the last few weeks. GSK, another hot group. This one sets up more as, this is another one that had kind of cup, was putting in a handle and then rolled over. But now recovering, we see good volume coming in, kind of a double bottom pattern. Look here, a lot of the eyes are going to be up here at 45.14. What I'm looking for, though, is that reclaim of the year-to-date anchored VWAP, the anchored VWAP off of the high, and then just above there you have 50.65 cloud. So would like to see that kind of push through. You could even put a little descending trend line on there, you know, and this consolidates sideways a little bit and then pushes up and through. Early entry opportunity ahead of that descending trend line, or can use anchored VWAP and 50.65 cloud. Either way, looking for continuation there, early entry opportunity ahead of the crowd at 45.15. Again, that's GSK, another one in a very hot group. Driven brands, DRVN. This one just kind of rounding up here, and 3051 is that cheat pivot above. You see how it's reclaimed anchored VWAP from off of the high year to date anchored VWAP. I believe that other anchored VWAP is off of, yes, off of the IPO. Let me move this out too. So there's your IPO. And so when we look at that from IPO day one, you've recaptured all of those important and relevant anchored VWAPs, and now trying to push through the volume shelf point of control right here. So if that upside continuation, and remember Friday was Russell rebalancing, so a lot of these smaller cap names saw big volume and big moves. But if we can push through 3051, that cheat pivot there on big volume, like the potential of this one, another one with good FA behind it, FA being the growth fundamentals. Another one, SAIC, this one a little bit thin. And when I say thin, that just means at average volume that it trades a little light, right around 300,000. So just on the border, but you do have this cup pattern. You had this gap up and then was trading below the anchored VWAP from that gap. Reclaim that. You see it was resistance a couple times there, middle of last week. Then reclaim that nicely on Friday. Now you have that standard 95-96 cup with handle pivot, looking for it to push up and through there. On big volume. Again, that Science Applications, SAIC. ADP, another one. This one has some work to do still. I see this setting up as kind of a triangle, but it's pretty sloppy now because of the general market. But 225.23 is that pivot above. But if you can get back above that anchored VWAP from off of the high, you have 50.65 cloud right there, 10.20 cloud below. So I wouldn't mind at all if this again kind of moves sideways, then comes through, turns that anchored VWAP back to the upside, at the same time allows 10.20 cloud catch up a little bit. But the eyes probably going to be on this area, 225.23. That's the area you want to see it push through on big volume. Again, that's automatic data processing, ADP. And then one more to look at, DigitalOcean, DOCN. This one still has some work to do too, but I do like how it's shaping up. Good volume coming in up the right side. What I'm looking for is a move back above that year-to-date anchored VWAP, and now you have 10.20 cloud right there with 50. So kind of a power of three setup just below price. Also have that anchored VWAP from off of the low just below there as well. Kind of danced around that for a few days and then broke to the upside. So still needs a push through 51.48 pivot and the year-to-date anchored VWAP just above. Also want to be aware of that anchored VWAP off of the high that sits a little bit higher. So this kind of an early entry opportunity, and I kind of see this as a pinch that may be setting up down the road, especially if the market and especially this group in software stays hot. So the first step would be back above year-to-date anchored VWAP and a nice volume move through that 51.48 pivot. A lot of the setups I shared over the last few weeks remain actionable, so can scroll back through those videos. As long as the market stays strong, we should get some breakouts, not only in the ones shared this week, but as well as those from prior videos. That's all I have into the week ahead. Hope you have a great trading week, and I will see you over on FinTwit.